The Galactic Council chamber was silent. Hundreds of alien representatives sat in tight rows, their strange faces glowing under the cold blue lights. At the center of the room stood a small human boy, no older than 10, trembling but not crying. His hands were bound and his clothes were torn. But his eyes showed no fear, only confusion and quiet strength. The council had called this meeting to set an example. The boy's colony had trespassed on a forbidden system claimed by the Zelthar, a powerful species that despised humanity. A small outpost, 12 settlers, mostly families, had landed without knowing the system was sacred to them. The settlers tried to explain. They even offered peace. But the Zelthar refused to listen. They demanded blood, when no adults survived. The ambush, the boy was taken alive. And now, in the most powerful room in the galaxy, the council debated his fate. A child alone, frightened, and unaware that his mere presence had become a weapon, Ambassador Doran of the Yatri spoke first. "This child is a symbol of Earth's arrogance," he said. "He must face the consequences of their expansionist crimes." Others nodded. Many hated humans. They were too fast, too clever, too unpredictable. Their rise had upset the balance of the galaxy. A few spoke for mercy. The Lothari ambassador, a soft-skinned being with glowing eyes, whispered, "He's just a child. If we execute him, we become the monsters we claim to hate." But she was outnumbered. Votes were cast. Words exchanged. Then silence again. The High Judge, an ancient being of living crystal, stood. "Let it be done," it said. A flash of energy formed between its long arms. The boy looked up, eyes still steady, as if he understood what was coming but refused to kneel. From across the galaxy, Earth watched. Their satellites had been tracking the boy's trial. No communication was allowed, but human systems were good at finding signals where none should exist. Hidden agents had leaked every moment, every vote, every face. And when the council made its decision, Earth saw everything. No warning was given. Crystal Judge raised its hand. The energy bolt struck the boy's chest. A blinding blue light filled the room, and in a heartbeat, the child fell. Lifeless, silent. A moment later, a cold robotic voice echoed through the chamber. "Execution complete." The council chambers emptied slowly. Some walked with pride. Others left in silence. The Lothari ambassador wept. But none of them knew what had truly begun the moment that spark struck human flesh. Back on Earth, the ancient war network came online. For centuries, it had slept beneath the oceans, the deserts, and the moon's hidden side. It was called the Arclight Protocol, an emergency order written in humanity's darkest age. It stated clearly, if a human child is executed by foreign powers without trial, the Earth shall respond with total military awakening. No permission needed, no delay. Allowed, it activated instantly. Deep beneath Antarctica, the cryovaults cracked open. 6 ancient battleships, older than most known civilizations, rose from the ice. Their hulls were blacker than space, and marked with names lost to history. The sky burned red as orbital platforms turned toward distant stars and began locking targets, and across every human fleet, the message arrived in blood-red letters. Protocol Arclight, child terminated. No further diplomacy, respond. The captain of the 9th Defense Armada, Admiral Lucia Hayter, received the message mid-orbit. She read it once, closed her eyes, and stood without hesitation. "Set course for the Galactic Council's homeworld," she ordered. "We are no longer asking for peace. We are delivering judgment." And the stars began to shake. Ships that had never moved lit up across Mars and Europa. Automated dreadnoughts hidden near black holes blinked alive and turned to face the galaxy. The ancient war code unlocked weapons. Thought illegal, impossible, or myth. In the council's main chambers, the High Judge sat reviewing reports when a low-frequency tremor passed through the floor. The building vibrated softly, then violently. Lights flickered, screens flashed, and one message appeared again and again: humanity has responded. The Lothari ambassador looked out from her quarters and saw a strange glow rising in the distant sky. She whispered, "They warned us." We didn't listen, and far above, Earth's war engines pierced through the silence of space, faster and brighter than anyone remembered possible. Asterisk, the first human ships arrived in Council. Space just 17 hours after the execution. No warning. No words. Just 6 massive shadows piercing through light speed boundaries, ignoring every defense scan. They stopped in high orbit over the Galactic Council's homeworld, silent and unmoving like statues made of war. Each ship was built before Earth joined the stars. Their designs were old, sharp-edged, and unfamiliar to most alien systems. But even those who had never seen them could feel it in their bones. These machines were not built for peace. They were made to destroy civilizations. Admiral Lucia Hayter stood on the bridge of the Vindicator, the oldest of the 6 war titans. Her eyes were cold, her voice calm. "Open the channel. Broadcast the footage." A moment later, every system across the galactic net began to receive a single looped video. The trial, the vote, the execution, the boy falling, and then Earth's message burned into the screen: "You killed one of ours. You will not be forgiven." Panic spread across the star systems. Civilizations that had mocked Earth now scrambled to shield their borders. Defense grids activated. Emergency councils formed. Some races sent messages begging for peace. Others prepared for war. But the ones who voted for the execution, those who raised their hands, received something else. A list. Each name was marked in red. Each name had a countdown. And each countdown ended in exactly 48 hours. In the council chambers, chaos erupted. The High Judge demanded negotiations. But no reply came from Earth, not one word. Only the image of the dead child and the approaching fleet filled the skies. The Lothari ambassador, heartbroken and desperate, contacted Lucia Hayter directly. "Please," she said. "The boy." "I tried to stop them. I spoke for him." Lucia did not answer. Instead, she simply forwarded a file. It showed the ambassador's face, quietly seated during the vote, hands folded, not voting against it. "Just watching." Lucia's message said only 3 words: "Watching is failing." The countdowns ticked lower. On the far edges of the galaxy, Earth's ancient sleeper ships activated. Crewed by AI and built to erase entire biospheres, these ships moved without needing human pilots. They locked targets. They adjusted for orbit. They charged weapon systems that hadn't fired in over 500 years. The Council attempted one last desperate move. They deployed the Sovereign Armada, an elite force of over 200 starships, equipped with the best alien technology available. Led by Supreme Admiral Kelrot, a commander known for defeating star pirates and border raiders, they formed a line between the Council planet and the human fleet. When the two sides finally faced each other, the entire galaxy watched. Lot opened a channel. "Human commander, stand down. You are outnumbered, outgunned, and surrounded. Surrender now, or we will remove you from orbit." His voice was strong, but his eyes flicked to the Earth ships. "Something about them unsettled him," Lucia answered. "With only one order: execute sweep pattern Delta 7. The Vindicator's guns moved. They didn't glow. They didn't roar. They simply pulsed once, and Kelrot's flagship vanished, not exploded, not damaged. It vanished atomized, stripped from space as if erased from time. No remains, no trace. Just silence where 1,000 lives had once breathed. The rest of the Sovereign Armada broke in seconds. Ships turned. Some surrendered. Some fled. Others simply shut down, hoping to be spared. None fired. None challenged again. The war was over before it began. Lucia gave no chase. She turned her attention back to the planet below the council seat, still unaware of how close they stood to being erased. And on the Vindicator's bridge, an officer said, "Admiral, targets locked on the first 10 names, awaiting confirmation." Lucia stood still, the silence stretched. Then she said, "Begin with the ones who smiled." And the sky turned red. From orbit, surgical beams of light fell like rain. No cities were destroyed, no civilians harmed, only those who voted, only those who laughed, only those who watched. Every strike was perfect, every target removed. Not one soul outside the list touched. And in the ruins of the Council's pride, one message remained. This is justice. Earth does not forget. The Council's world burned quietly, not with fire, but with fear. The strikes had ended, but the shadows they left behind reached every corner of the galaxy. Those who had once ruled with arrogance now looked over their shoulders. Systems that had mocked Earth now whispered apologies in private. The image of the boy's last moment played again and again, like a ghost that refused to leave. Lucia Hayter stood alone in her quarters aboard the Vindicator, staring at an old photograph. It showed her niece blonde, smiling, about the same age as the boy who was executed. She placed the photo down and whispered, "We warned them." They didn't listen. The human fleet did not retreat. Instead, Earth began broadcasting a signal. It was sent in every known language, to every known system. The message was simple. You killed a child of Earth. We have responded. If there are others in danger, speak now. We are listening. That signal changed everything. Across the stars, voices began to rise. Small colonies that had been under alien occupation. Hybrid children born of forbidden unions. Entire outposts where humans were treated like insects. These places sent their pleas. Earth collected each one. And Earth moved. The Arclight fleet divided. Each ship led a squadron to answer a different cry for help. Some arrived to find prisons. Others found broken settlements. But in each place, the arrival of a single human dreadnought ended the silence. The message was the same. No more fear, no more death, no more forgotten children. In one system, the Nightcaster arrived above a mining moon where human workers had been enslaved by the Curtain Syndicate. The Curtain had ruled that moon for 2 generations, using pain collars and forced labor to extract rare minerals. When they saw the Earthship, they prepared shields and defenses, but the Nightcaster didn't attack. Instead, it broadcasted a countdown. 10 minutes. Curtain commanders panicked. They demanded reinforcements. None came. They tried to negotiate. No reply. As the clock reached 0, every pain collar deactivated. Every human cell door opened. And the moment the workers stepped outside, supply drones from Earth dropped emergency food, medical kits, and weapons. And then came the message. You are free. You are remembered. You are not alone. The galaxy began to shift. News of Earth's actions spread faster than war. Some species began holding emergency meetings. A few even offered formal apologies. But others, those who built their power on fear, began to prepare for retaliation. Among them was the Zelthar Empire, the species that started it all by demanding the boy's death. The Zelthar saw Earth's mercy not as strength, but as a weakness. Their High Overlord declared, "We will strike them before they spread further. We will crush this illusion of justice." Their ships began to gather at the edge of Earth's outer colonies. But they had no idea what waited for them, because Earth had not yet revealed its full strength. Back on Luna Base, deep beneath the surface, engineers activated Project Dawn. A fleet of ships unlike anything the stars had seen, sleek, invisible, and faster than thought. They were silent assassins, designed to strike before sensors could blink. Created not for war, but to end wars before they started. And Earth had given them one command: Stop the Zelthar before they reach our skies. As the Zelthar armada moved, they entered a dark nebula. Inside, nothing but silence. No planets, no light, no signals. But something was watching. Something had been waiting. And when the Zelthar passed the final boundary, space itself cracked open. Dozens of ships appeared, black, quiet, and angry. The lead human ship sent only one word: judgment. The battle lasted 4 minutes. When it was over, the nebula was quiet again. No Zelthar ships left. No human ships damaged. Just silence. And far across the galaxy, the council chambers received a message from Earth's ambassador. This is not a war. This is a warning. If another human child dies by your hands, there will be no more warnings. The council did not reply. They couldn't, because deep down, they all felt it now. Earth had changed, and the stars would never be the same again. *E galaxy began to fall quiet, not because peace had returned, but because no one dared to speak too loudly. The stars that once buzzed with trade, politics, and secret plans were now filled with silence. Earth's fleet was not just present, it was everywhere. Arclight Protocol had revealed more than weapons. It had revealed that humanity had never stopped preparing. Their fleets were older than most empires. Their strategies were unpredictable. Their ships moved like ghosts and struck like thunder. And perhaps most terrifying of all, Earth was not conquering. Earth was rescuing. Earth was avenging. Earth was remembering. The message was spreading fast. If you harm the innocent, Earth will find you. On a desert world known as Trax Hollow, a hidden camp of human refugees cried out. Years ago, they had been abandoned during a failed colonization attempt, and alien raiders took the survivors as livestock. The galaxy forgot them. But Earth didn't. The Resolute arrived in orbit during nightfall. The aliens who ran the camp laughed at first. One ship against us? They joked. That laughter ended when the night turned white. Not a single human prisoner remained in chains by dawn. The aliens who enslaved them were gone, silently removed, their technology shattered. Above the broken towers, Earth's banner was dropped from a low-flying drone. No speeches, no threats. Just 2 words written in every known language: we remember. In the heart of the Galactic Council, fear turned to blame. Some species demanded answers from those who had voted for the child's execution. You brought this upon us, they shouted. But no one had the courage to admit guilt. Some tried to erase records. Others tried to resign. A few even went into hiding. But Earth had the list. And Earth had time. While fear gripped the politicians, a more subtle fear grew in the people. Civilians across alien worlds started asking the same question: why did Earth care so much about one child? No other species had shown this level of loyalty. No other homeworld had unleashed ancient fleets for a single young life. That question began to spark something: strange respect. On certain planets, alien children were suddenly treated better. Schools started teaching about human history. Statues were built to honor the unnamed boy. The galaxy, in its own confused way, was learning something painful and new: that Earth's rage was rooted in love. Meanwhile, on Earth, debates began among leaders that some wanted to end the response now. Others believed it wasn't finished. But the voices that mattered most were not politicians. They were the families of the fallen, the forgotten colonies, the orphans who had been ignored for generations. One girl, aged 11, stood at the United Earth Assembly and said, "He was one of us. If they had taken me instead, I hope Earth would have burned the stars too." That one sentence was broadcast across 100 systems. It became a chant. And Earth kept moving. In a distant solar system, the Car Syndicate, a group that once sold human children on dark markets, received a strange transmission. It was not a threat. It was not even a message from Earth. It was a list of names. Every Tar leader, their ships, their supply routes, They laughed until the stars around them blinked. Then the shadow armada arrived. No lights, no sound. Just black ships moving in perfect silence. The car screamed, begged, offered bribes, but Earth had stopped listening. Justice had taken its seat. The car were gone before local systems could report an attack. Not destroyed. Erased. All that remained was a short transmission. The child was not forgotten. Neither were yours. Across the stars, change had begun. Species that once saw humans as pests now watched them with awe. Empires that once ruled unchallenged now built walls no one would test. And deep within the oldest archives of the Council, the historian priests whispered a forbidden thought. Humanity was never the weakest. They had just been patient. And now their patience had ended. Lucia Hader stood before Earth's unified war command, her hands clasped behind her back. Behind her, a massive screen displayed star maps marked with red circle zones where Earth had struck. Each red dot meant justice had been served. But the map was incomplete. Report, she said calmly. A young officer stepped forward. We've completed operations in 13 sectors. 53 violations addressed. 25 child trafficking centers neutralized. 46 council authorized. Abduction sites shut down. He paused, then added, still no contact from the council. They remain silent. Lucia nodded once. Good. Let them stay silent. Earth didn't need permission to protect its young anymore. The galaxy, meanwhile, was shifting beneath its own fear. Alien news networks, once quick to mock humanity's emotional ways, now played documentaries about Earth's history. From Earth's wars and tragedies, to the unity that rose after loss. Words like honor, family, and vengeance were being translated into alien languages for the first time. Across planets where humans lived as second-class citizens, things changed. On the planet Orinth, a school principal removed a policy banning human children from advanced classes. On Jixtor, a police officer arrested his superior for abusing human minors. These were small acts, but they were spreading like fire, because everyone had seen the child's eyes in his final moments, and no one could forget them. But not all watched with guilt. Some watched with hate. In the cold void beyond mapped space, the Zelthar regrouped. Their first fleet had vanished inside the nebula, but the Overlord survived. Bitter and broken, he screamed before his generals. They pretend to be righteous, he hissed, but they are worse than us. We will bring their skies to ash. A massive fleet began construction in silence, but Earth knew. They always knew. Deep in the ruins of Earth's oldest orbital defense ring, engineers worked around a forgotten eye known only as Sentinel-1. Its code had not been touched in 400 years. It had been built for a time when Earth thought it might face extinction. It had one purpose: end all threats before they reach orbit. Lucia gave the order, reactivate Sentinel-1. The old machine came to life, and it remembered everything. In council space, the High Judge met privately with the few who remained. The chamber was nearly empty now. Many had fled. Others had simply vanished. The judge tapped the table with long crystalline fingers. We must speak to Earth, it said. Not to beg. To surrender. A voice answered from the shadows. You missed your chance when you killed the boy. All heads turned. Standing at the center of the chamber was a human, not a hologram, not a drone, but a living man. He wore a gray coat, no rank, no weapons. His face was calm, but his eyes held fire. His name was Elias Wren, Earth's silent envoy. A man sent not to negotiate, but to deliver truth. You voted for his death, Elias said. Now you live. Under ours. The judge tried to explain, to offer apologies. But Elias raised a hand. We don't want apologies. He dropped a file onto the table. It opened, glowing with the names of every child harmed, every colony silenced, every scream Ignored. The list was long. Too long. We want change. Elias turned and left. He didn't wait for permission. He didn't look back, because Earth wasn't asking anymore. Later that night, across a dozen worlds, statues appeared. Not built by humans, built by aliens. Each statue showed the child small, brave, and standing alone in the council chamber, facing the universe. Below each statue were the same words in every tongue. One child awakened the sleeping giants. Asterisk, the stars were quiet, not from peace, but from breathless waiting. Every empire, every system, every station orbiting dead. Moons all watched the sky now. The Arclight fleet had moved like storms across space. Earth had struck fast, sharp, and without hesitation. But the real question now burned in every leader's mind. Would Earth stop? Back on Earth, the Council of Humanity gathered in Unity Hall for the first time since the response began. The room was filled with silence and steel. Generals, scientists, survivors. Lucia Hayter stood at the center, her voice steady. "We have responded with justice," she said. "But we are not monsters. We do not conquer. We do not erase. But we never forget." A survivor from the child's colony stepped forward. She was the boy's sister, barely 12, but her words carried more weight than any ship. "He wanted to be a teacher," she said softly. "He liked the stars. He never wanted anyone to get hurt." That one sentence was broadcast across every corner of known space. It reached the ruins of tyrant halls. It reached the leaders still hiding behind armies. And it reached the overlord of the Zelthar, whose final fleet now moved toward Earth. He had ignored the warnings. His pride could not accept a world of humans striking back, so he prepared his largest fleet yet. 60 ships, plasma lances, planet killer cores. They would arrive in 3 days. The Overlord gave only one command: break their skies. But Earth already knew. Sentinel-1 had tracked their approach since the first ship ignited. Lucia Hayter received the alert with a quiet nod. She turned to her officers and said 2 words: "Let them." 3 days passed, and the Zelthar fleet entered the solar system. What they saw was nothing. No alarms, no defense rings, no ships in orbit. Just Earth. Waiting. The Overlord laughed. "They've gone soft," he sneered. "They've hidden." His ships formed attack positions, weapons charged. Victory felt close. But then, the stars blinked. 1,000 ships uncloaked, not from Earth, but from deep space. Behind them, above them, below them. Ships of strange design, carrying marks not of Earth, but of other species. Ships from the Lothari, from the Orinth, from the Jixtor, even from the far edges of the spiral arm. And then came Earth's ships, silent and patient. Together, they formed a wall of unity. A united fleet, alien and human, standing for the child they had all failed to protect. Overlord screamed. "Cowards! Betrayers!" No one answered. There was no negotiation. The Zelthar fleet never reached Earth. When it was over, not one human casualty was reported. Not one alien ally lost. Just silence and justice. And across the galaxy, something changed forever. The stars were no longer ruled by fear. They were guarded by a memory. A single child who had no weapon, no voice, and no army, only a name, now carved in light above Earth's moon, visible to every passing ship. Remember the child. From that day forward, every Galactic Council meeting began with a new law. No child of any species may be judged without voice, without guardian, or without mercy. And Earth returned to silence. Their fleet stood down, but the stars never forgot the price of waking the sleeping giants, because humanity had taught them all one final truth: the smallest life can spark the loudest thunder.